You're watching Open for Business with Jim Mackay, a business news show that brings you information about commerce and industry in the Four Corners. Open for Business is brought to you by First Southwest Bank. We can help you get there. First Southwest Bank.
Joining us for our first edition of Open for Business. I'm Jim Mackay. Open for Business is the second original program developed by Fast Forward Media for Inside Durango TV audiences. Twice a month, we'll bring you news and information about the economy, businesses, and commerce in the Four Corners region. We welcome your feedback and story ideas. Contact us through our website at durangotv.com. In our first edition, we'll take a look at the economic forecast for 2014 and learn about Honeyville's plans to double the capacity of their processing plant for new products, including their Colorado honey whiskey. First, we'll bring you good news. Local, state, and national economists at the 22nd Annual Southwest Business Forum held at Fort Lewis College on January the 8th gave the economy a thumbs up for 2014. Tim Quinlan, an economist for Wells Fargo Securities, predicted that the national economy will bounce back to an average growth rate of 3% per year. The economy, he said, has shifted from recovery to expansion, with the gross domestic product expected to grow to $15.8 million by the third quarter of 2014. New job formation also is on the rise, but it has a long way to go to recover the 12 million full-time jobs lost during the recession, he said. A bright spot in the national, state, and local economies are housing starts. Although they remain below historical levels, they're expected to increase in the coming years, and by 2018 they'll grow to 1.6 million a year. Home prices will continue to rise in 2014, with median sales prices expected to jump 10% nationally. In Colorado, the state will see a robust growth in 2014, according to Rich Wobekind, economist with the Leeds School of Business at the University of Colorado in Boulder. Wobekind said Colorado will outperform the nation in new job formation. Home prices will rise steadily, and the state's population will continue to grow. Colorado, he said, is the 9th in the nation for the fastest growth in population, and that bodes well for business. Housing starts will increase more than 10% this year, with more than 30,000 single and multiple family dwelling permits expected to be issued. That's a threefold increase over the low point in 2009. Wobekind said housing prices have fully recovered from the recession, with appreciation expected to be close to 10% in Colorado. Demand is outpacing supply. New job formation in Colorado will remain steady in 2014. Nearly 10,000 jobs will be added in the natural resources and mining industries. Crude oil production is expected to skyrocket along with prices, largely due to worldwide demand. A proposed ballot issue that would impose a statewide ban on fracking could have a significant impact on the state economy, and especially on those counties which rely heavily on resource extraction if the initiative is successful, Wobekind said. Denver metro communities are pushing for the initiative, and Wobekind reminded the audience that 83% of the state's population resides along the Front Range. In southwest Colorado, revenues for gas and oil will slow, but real estate, tourism, and retail sales are rebounding, according to Fort Lewis College professor of economics, Tino Sonora. Sonora, also director of college's Office of Business and Economic Research, and provides the community with quarterly assessments on the economy. Employment in Plata County will remain steady at 31,000 jobs, with unemployment dropping from a high of 7.1% in 2010 to 5.3% in 2014. The construction industry has played a significant role, with a 30% growth in jobs since 2010. Although the construction industry is rebounding, the growth hasn't been in multifamily housing. The vacancy rate for rentals dropped to 1.5% in 2013, and average rents rose by nearly 15% to $969 a month. Home prices in La Plata County also are improving, with a 2% increase in value expected in 2014. Median price for a home is expected to increase from $299,000 in 2013 to $305,000 in 2014. Growth in tourism, a major economic driver in La Plata County, will be steady in 2014, Sonora predicted. Both the Durango and Silverton narrow gauge train and Mesa Verde National Park are expected to see a 3% growth in riders and visitors. Unlike the state's robust growth in natural resource extraction, natural gas and oil production in the region will continue to fall. Following trends from the past several years, gas production dropped by 32% in 2013 and oil production decreased by 28%. Sonora told the audience of about 200 that La Plata County's recovery from the recession is weak compared with Colorado's recovery overall, but it is a recovery nonetheless. Whether they buy copy paper or catering, local, state, and federal agencies spend millions of dollars each year on goods and services here in Southwest Colorado. And the government market has hundreds of opportunities for small businesses to bid for and win government contracts. Earlier this month, the Southwest Colorado Small Business Development Center and other government agencies provided local businesses with information and training on landing government contracts. The workshops covered opportunities to bid on Forest Service support services for wildlife control, understanding federal contract regulations, and a networking event where businesses met with local, state, and federal buyers. The total dollar amount the government agencies spend locally on goods and services is hard to pin down, but a brief survey of Fort Lewis College, La Plata County, the Colorado Department of Transportation, and federal government reports indicate that purchases of goods and services in La Plata County exceeded $56 million in 2013. The types of contracts are wide-ranging, from asphalt paving to zoning studies, and it's that variety of needs that makes it possible for small businesses to get into the government market, says Dennis Casey, a procurement counselor with the Colorado Procurement Technical Assistance Center. Colorado PTAC is part of a federal program started in 1985 to help local businesses compete successfully in the government marketplace. Counselors help small businesses find bidding opportunities and walk them through the process of preparing certifications and paperwork. Counselors also help clients negotiate the maze of government procedures and regulations, and they support businesses as they fulfill contracts once they win the bid. PTAC currently provides counseling services to 64 companies in La Plata County. Casey said government agencies make efforts to award local contracts because it's good for the economy. When contracts are awarded to local companies, they employ local workers who buy goods and services from other local companies. Local governments collect income and sales taxes and reinvest in the community. The Colorado Department of Transportation is one of the bigger spenders in La Plata County, with $42 million in projects scheduled for 2014. And it wants to spend that money with local businesses, says Kathy Kramer, Program Manager with Connect2., Contractor Support Program. The state legislature established Connect2., in October 2012 specifically to help small businesses obtain contracts in the road construction industry, says Kramer. Connect2., works closely with Small Business Development Center and PTAC to coach businesses in all aspects of the procurement process. Counselors work with businesses to find contract opportunities, prepare accurate bids, obtain financing, and do the work that they promised. It's not just heavy equipment operators who can benefit, says Kramer. Building roads requires all sorts of specialized services that local businesses can provide, from surveying to traffic control to fencing. Even caterers get in on the government action. The U.S. Forest Service is currently soliciting bids for caterers to provide meals to firefighters during the wildfire season. Other needs include water delivery and porta potty services. Getting these services lined out ahead of a disaster improves response time in the time of an emergency. Local governments are especially attuned to buying local and often provide incentives for local businesses to bid for contracts. La Plata County will consider local contractors if their bids are within 5% of the lowest purchase price to qualify. Local businesses must hire La Plata County residents for at least 50% of their workforce, and 50% of their vehicles must be licensed in La Plata County. If you're interested in supplying goods and services for government contracts, the best place to start is the Southwest Colorado Small Business Development Center at Fort Lewis College. Log on to their website at sbdcfortlewis.org. Durango earned a number 2 spot as a top Western town. Who's first on the list? The answer after the break.
I started working here when I first moved to town in 2003, and we were a consignment shop back in the day, and then Through having the right people working here and being in the right community, our business grew to what it is today. My name is Gary Derck, and my store is 2nd Avenue Sports, Durango, Colorado. My favorite part about our business is that we are still a mom and pop, locally owned, bike and ski shop, and these days those are kind of going away. There's a lot of corporate businesses that are coming in and buying up businesses like this. So I feel like the community of Durango is how our shop is able to survive, because people here care about buying locally, they care about who they do business with. It's important stuff to them. The owner of our building, our landlord, sold the building and we were going to be out of a home. I was nervous, because we have a ton of inventory in here, as you can tell, and it would have been hard for us to find another spot. If we did find another spot, it wouldn't have been downtown, and it would have changed our business entirely. Sean Candelaria from First Southwest came over and said that they had bought this piece of property and that they didn't need the whole piece of land, and asked us if we would share the piece of land with them, and we were excited. Yeah, that was the third best day of my life. We were looking around town for another place to put our store, and this location has been really good to us, and we're 2nd Avenue Sports, so it's really hard to move any place other than 2nd Avenue. That's one thing about First Southwest Bank, is they took on this project and they divided this piece of property in half for not really any financial gain of their own, and that's not something I would suspect from a bank. We're going to own our own piece of land, so as a business owner, that's huge. I didn't think that would ever happen. I figured we would be renting our whole lives, and First Southwest Bank and Sean and Kent have definitely made it possible for us to buy our own piece of land. We appreciate First Southwest Bank because they are a smaller local bank for sure. The people who run that bank, they've become friends of ours, and they're just great people. We're very fortunate. As far as the future goes, I plan to work in this business for at least another 30 years, pay off my loans, and maybe kick it down to some of these younger guys working in here. I feel like we're living the dream around here. This is where I want to be, and this is what we like to do. The First Southwest Bank has really helped us keep the dream alive.
Watch more at durangotv.com.
Welcome back to Open for Business. I'm Jim Mackay. We know Durango's passion for its history makes it a special place to live, and apparently the editors of True West magazine think so. The editors named Durango second on the list of magazine's 2014 top Western towns. Evidently, only Dodge City, Kansas is more Western than Durango. This is the 9th year that True West has presented the annual award. Editors base their selection on how well each town preserves its history through old buildings and museums, and how it promotes events and historic resources. Durango's steam-powered narrow-gauge railroad and museum, the Animas Museum, the Strader Hotel, Railfest, the Cowboy Poetry Gathering, Durango Heritage Days, and other events helped Durango earn the number 2 spot on the list. The True West Award is just one of 16 recognitions the town collected from media in 2013. Other honors include Durango's designation by National Geographic as one of the top 10 emerging ski towns in North America, and the Today Show's selection of Durango as one of the 5 beautiful places every American should visit. Durango will be featured in the February 2014 issue of True West magazine. It's on newsstands now. For more information, you can also visit twmag.com. Nominees have been announced for the Durango Chamber of Commerce Durango Rocks Awards ceremony on January 23rd at the Fort Lewis College Community Concert Hall. The annual awards ceremony celebrates the Plata County businesses and individuals who go above and beyond their line of work while giving back to the community. Nominees for Citizen of the Year include former publisher of the Durango Herald, Richard Ballantyne, local real estate professional John Maloney and Greg McClanahan, owner of Lifestyle Homes of the Southwest. Up for Entrepreneur of the Year is Chris Rezick of Best Cleaning, Mary Carden with Shining Star Caregivers, and Eric Sirois and Joe Storr with Rent-A-Man Contractors. Nominees for Business of the Year include the Doubletree Hotel, Durango Joe's Coffee House, and Ecosphere Environmental. Small Business of the Year nominees are Shaw Solar, Basin Printing, and Allison Ragsdale Photography. Past winners of the Spirit of Durango Awards include Steamwork Brewery, Rochester Hotel, and the Durango Sports Club. And this year, the nominees vying for the honor include the Durango Discovery Museum, Mountain Bike Specialists, and Ska Brewing. Up for Nonprofit of the Year is Access Health, Boys and Girls Club of La Plata County, and Volunteers of America. Durango is a town known for its many nonprofit organizations, so it comes as no surprise that the Bill Mashaw Volunteer Award always attracts a host of notable nominations. This year, the top 3 residents who made it to the official nominations are Pat Barrett, Howard Nichols DDS, and Terry Swan. Tickets are still available for the ceremony and can be purchased at the Durango Chamber of Commerce in Santa Rita Park, the Welcome Center at 802 Main Avenue, and the Community Concert Hall at Fort Lewis College. The event starts at 5:30 p.m. with a reception. The ceremony then starts at 6 p.m. For more information, visit durangobusiness.org or durangoconcerts.com. On each episode of Open for Business, we'll feature local businesses whose products or services have stood the test of time. Our first is Danny and Cherie Culhane's Honeyville. The third-generation enterprise stays in business because the Culhanes are always developing new products to meet the changing tastes of its customers. See what's next to come from the Honeycomb.
I'm Kevin Culhane. I'm part of a fifth-generation family business called Honeyville, where we take everything honey and do as many things with it as we can.
Honeyville was established in Duarte, California in 1918 by the Mayer family. And in 1953 they moved it here, ran the bees. They had bee operation plus the, just a little store out of the side of their house. And in 1982 this building was built, and in 1986 we bought them out. And my family had a bee business here in Durango, and my father sold his first crop in downtown Durango in 1925. So both families go back a long time, and we've been selling honey and honey products in the Durango area continuously since 1925. We've grown almost every year, and we have almost 70 products now that are honey or honey related. Last year we processed in about 200 tons of honey and translated into jars. We did about 325,000 jars through this assembly line you see here. We sold our interest in the bees quite a few years ago, and we're just strictly a honey packer and a food manufacturer.
Everywhere where we source our honey is similar to Durango in the fact that it's usually kind of small, isolated areas with maybe a little bit of agriculture around, and it's you know, not out in like these big pesticide sprayed fields necessarily. It's kind of like these kind of pristine environments that we look for to get our honey. The bees are kind of they're clean little guys, and the hive they run kind of a tight shift in there, the queen does, and if any bees actually go out and get into pesticides or whatnot, they'll try and come back in, and the other bees will actually not let them back into the hive.
For the 200 tons of honey that we go through, it probably takes about 20,000 colonies of bees to get our honey to us every year. Well, the first line that they had was the whipped honeys, and when we took over Honeyville in '86, they had 7 or 8 flavors, and now we have about 15. But they're very popular, and the whipped honeys are unique in that you can add flavors to the honey. Cinnamon is by far the most popular, which is the oldest recipe. But now we even do some things kind of out of the box, like our cherry coconut. We do a salted bourbon vanilla, which is really unique that it mixes a teeny bit of salt with the honey. And then other things we've done is we have a whole line of sauces and syrups. Choke cherry was one of our oldest. And since then we've added 2 barbecue sauces, a honey yaki, which is a teriyaki style sauce, and several others of those. We pretty much generate the recipes ourselves. Part of the uniqueness of honey is that there's no 2 years crops are exactly alike. The flavor comes from the different varieties of plants and the percentages of the plants and just the weather conditions and everything that goes on in the Rocky Mountains every year.
Our business partner Adam Burgle approached me one evening and he's like, "Hey, I have a great idea. Let's make whiskey." He's like, "This is a new up-and-coming thing," and he was so excited about it, and it seemed like such a great idea that we went along with it, and it's been really going really well ever since that idea got going.
The honey whiskey is something new to us that we formed an LLC in 2012, and we're bringing in 5 to 6 year old bourbon whiskey from Kentucky, blending it with our honey, proofing it, and we have a product out called Colorado Honey. And it's doing extremely well locally, and here in the near future we'll be branching that out to hopefully around the state and into other states.
Yeah, so the whiskey production is up to about 8,000 bottles that we've sold in 8 months. So we're very happy with how well it's been going. And Durango, all the local support, we really appreciate it. It's been very nice. We actually have taken it a step further, and now we're having a cinnamon honey whiskey. It's very simple. It's whiskey, it's honey, and it's cinnamon, and that's kind of how we like to keep things. It's simple. It seems to work out well for us. Our latest surprise for 2014 is that we're expanding Honeyville as well as Honey House Distillery, and the expansion will give us the ability to better inform the customers that come through, that we'll be able to actually give tours and take people back in the back and actually show them exactly what it is that we're doing.
Open for Business will be there when Honeyville opens the doors to its new facility. After the break, we'll talk with Durango Mountain Resort CEO Gary Derck about the ski industry's impact on Southwest Colorado.
And organic vitamins and supplements and health and beauty products, there's no better place than Nature's Oasis. We offer an experienced staff, nutrition and supplement education, and exclusive products. Nature's Oasis, home to the largest selections of vitamins and supplements in the Four Corners region.
Come check out what's new at the Ute Mountain Casino Hotel and Resort. We now have single and double deck blackjack games. Enjoy our King of the Cage boxing events year-round at our events center. If you're on the go, take a break at the new Ute Mountain Travel Center. With our valet service, you can arrive in style and get right into the action. Visit us for our Saturday prime rib buffet and our seafood buffet on Fridays. With the largest gaming floor in the area, Ute Mountain Casino Hotel and Resort has all the great games you love to play. The Sporting News Grill at the new Holiday Inn and Suites of Durango is now open for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Featuring a full-service restaurant and bar with 11 HD TVs, it's a great venue for family and sports fanatics alike. The Sporting News Grill. Stop in and let us show you our game face. Visit the scenic town of Silverton and take a Jeep tour through the heart of the majestic San Juan Mountains with San Juan Backcountry Tours. Visitors can get behind the wheel and explore the mountain roads on their own, or sit back on guided tours that take you through the rich history of the area, including the ghost town, Animas Forks. You can rent a Jeep, ATV, dirt bike, or we can take you on a guided tour in one of our open-top Suburbans. Enjoy the spectacular scenery from 9,000 feet all the way to 13,000 feet in elevation. The San Juans have many scenic routes and four-wheel drive passes to explore, and our experienced staff can provide maps and suggest the best routes to get you where you want to go. We guarantee you a fun and memorable experience. Come explore the historic sights and beautiful scenery of the San Juan Mountains at San Juan Backcountry Tours.
Welcome back to Open for Business. I'm Jim Mackay. We have Gary Derck with us in the studio today. Derck is the CEO for Durango Mountain Resort. He has more than 2 decades of leadership experience in resort management and development. He joined Durango Mountain Resort in 2000. Welcome, Gary.
Thanks, Jim.
Thanks a lot for coming today.
You bet.
So let's jump in with a question that I hear quite a bit back and forth living in town for a few years is Durango Mountain Resort a destination resort or a local ski hill or some combination of the two? And with that answer, how do you attract and market to the two different groups so that we kind of put a business spin on the answer?
Yeah, it's a great question. The best answer is yes, we're both. And we almost have to be. In a town of 15,000 folks, it would be difficult to have a resort of the magnitude of DMR if you didn't attract some destination visitors. So our key goal is to be destination quality, so we don't have to apologize to anyone about the quality of the mountain experience, the village experience, the lodging, the food and beverage, but to be drive-to convenient and drive-to value. And to us that means that the folks, whether they live in Durango, Pagosa, Farmington, Albuquerque, or points beyond, that they really feel that we're a great value and they want to come back as frequently as they can. So it's a fine line you have to walk in trying to please both those customer bases. But it's kind of our core mission, so we take pride in trying to make it a great experience for both the locals and the destination visitors.
That makes sense. So you mentioned drive-to. I know in the past there have been marketing initiatives that have been put in place to incent the airlines to increase the number of flights. I believe at one point Durango Mountain Resort was kicking in $100,000 a year or some large number to essentially incent the airlines to fly here. I think that's been discontinued. Can you kind of give us a little history on what you think the value of that was and why it went away? Yeah,
great question. I wish it was 100,000. It was actually, at peak, it was about 1.2 million that the resort itself was putting in. You know, we feel blessed right now. We're one of the few mountain towns in the West that doesn't have to subsidize airlift, and that's really great. We have great service from United, as you know, US Air, American, and Frontier. I don't really think subsidized air is a very sustainable long-term solution for a community. We had a lot of great partners when we did subsidize the air. We did it with both American and Continental for several years, and then we flew a Southwest Air charter up here. But I think the growth that we've seen at the airport is first rate. If anything, we need more larger airplanes right now. I mean, I don't know if you've tried to get a seat recently, but the planes are full and the airlines are doing very well. That means they're profitable. That means they'll keep coming. There's very little that a ski resort can do to actually, force airlines to bring more planes here other than to make the airlines more profitable. And I think right now we're in a good place as far as that's concerned. So.
Yeah. Colorado Ski Country USA, 50th anniversary this year. I know you folks are a member. How has that played a role in the growth of the resort and the growth of the region, if at all?
Yeah, the Colorado Ski Country is a great representative of the ski industry in Colorado. It constantly tries to balance the needs of the Front Range and the Western Slope, and all of the resorts are different. So it's definitely a case of herding cats, without a doubt. So I think they've done a great job. I would like to give a shout out to the local partners and the in-market partners that we have as well. I think sometimes we don't realize how valuable they are. So it's great to have a state representative association like Colorado Ski Country, but in many cases, we have local and in-market partnerships that are even more valuable in driving visitation to Durango. So I think both are important. You have to have a statewide effort, but you really have to have local partners and in-market partners to help get the job done.
That makes sense. So speaking of local, as a local, we've been talking about Lift 8 for a long time, which, if you're familiar with the resort, is the far lift on the backside, and replacing that with a high-speed lift. Wondering if you can share with us any news on that, and again, from a business perspective, do you see that as having a positive economic impact on the resort?
I definitely think it will. It's very interesting. I spend a lot of time with the locals talking about Lift 8, and you should know that there's about 2/3 of the locals that want us to replace it tomorrow with a high-speed quad, and there's about 1/3 of the locals that don't want us to do that at all. They think it'll just ruin the backside terrain, and too many of those destination visitors you mentioned earlier will end up on the backside where, according to those locals, they shouldn't be. So, so it's a fine line that we walk. To be honest, it's a combination of financing, which, through the recession has been difficult to get for those kind of improvements. And quite frankly, over the last couple of years with the lower snowfall, we've been putting most of our capital investment into snowmaking. So until we really get the snowmaking system to where we can make 2/3 of the mountain in artificial snow literally overnight. We're probably not going to go back and do more lift infrastructure just because we know how important the snow quality is. And we have a lift there that's functioning just fine. But, you know, I'm in the 2/3, so I want to see it replaced as soon as possible. And there certainly will be a useful life issue that's going to come up shortly here with Lift 8 where we'll have to replace it. But I would ask everybody to be patient and know that first we're always going to do what's important to make sure this ski resort can function. And right now that's snowmaking.
Very good. So at one point, DMR and Kirkwood had the same ownership. About a year ago, I believe, Kirkwood was purchased. You hear rumors from time to time about DMR and whether or not they're for sale or an impending purchase happening. Can you set those rumors straight one way or the other?
Well, first of all, we're a private company, so we don't share all the gory details, and you probably wouldn't want to hear them anyhow. We kept all the real estate at Kirkwood, by the way, and we did sell the resort to Vail. That was actually a localized decision based on what was going on in the Tahoe region. So we make all of our decisions localized. You know, there are a few of our shareholders that are probably getting to the retirement age, but we've actually, in the last 14 years since I've been with the resort, we've seen change in ownership and nobody's really noticed, because what's really unique about Purgatory is it's the management team that's on the ground, and we're not that old yet. We're still skiing and kicking and having a good time. So I think you'll see the same management team regardless. And there may be some change in shareholders. You know, we have a variety of different shareholders. It's all privately held. So we might see some shareholders change or exchange interest or whatever. But for the most part, I want everybody in town to know that what you see is just going to keep getting better and better.
Okay, that's good. Well, I really want to thank you for coming today.
You bet.
Okay. Good luck with the rest of the ski season, by the way.
Well, thank you.
Hopefully we'll get some more snow.
Do your
soon.
snow dance.
Exactly. I want to thank Gary for joining us today. Next, business opportunities to network, learn new skills, and more.
Welcome to the Irish Embassy Pub Durango. We import the majority of our products straight from the Emerald Isle, and let's get it right. You want your Guinness directly imported from Dublin. You want it stored at precisely the right temperature. And you want the pour to be a matter of taste and science. You want a pull with the patience and precision that it deserves. And if that wasn't authentic enough, you want to enjoy it in the pub where the shelves are stocked with 24 different kinds of Irish whiskey. Yes, you want the true Irish experience. Come visit us at the Irish Embassy Pub Durango.
Introducing the Southwest Colorado Winter Guide, a great source for information about restaurants, activities, entertainment, and winter events. Pick one up and get the inside scoop on what's going on. From Cortez to Durango, from Pagosa Springs to Silverton, and every interesting attraction along the way. The Southwest Colorado Winter Guide is a free publication of the Durango Herald, available all over town.
It's full steam ahead on the Durango and Silverton Narrow Gauge Railroad. Enjoy a historic trip through Southwest Colorado's rich scenery with winter excursions through Cascade Canyon, a picturesque and snow-capped ride. Get a taste of wintertime in the San Juan Mountains just as people did over 100 years ago. A winter ride on the train takes you deep into a rugged and beautiful landscape, an experience you won't soon forget. Visit the depot or durangotrain.com.
Get your tickets now for Durango Rocks, the Chamber of Commerce Award event scheduled for January 23rd at the Community Concert Hall. Tickets are only $25 before January 1st, $30 after. Go to durangobusiness.org.
You're watching Open for Business. I'm Jim Mackay. We wrap up our first edition with business updates, local activities that can help you improve your bottom line. On Tuesday, January 21st, the Business Improvement District will host an open house from 11:30 a.m. to 1 p.m. at its new offices located upstairs above Beads and Beyond on Main Avenue. Free lunch will be served. Reservations are required. Contact the office at 375-5067 to let them know you plan to attend. Personal financial coach Allison Anderson will help you better understand your spending habits, attitudes, and values toward money during the next Chamber of Commerce Lunch and Learn. The workshop begins at noon on Wednesday, January 22nd at the National Bank of Durango. Cost is $10 for Chamber members, $20 for all others. Reservations are required. Contact the Chamber at durangobusiness.org. Are you a YPod? That's Young Professionals of Durango. Get to know who's who among young professionals in town at the YPod's first networking event of the year. It starts at 5:30 p.m. on Monday, January 27th at the Four Leaves Winery across from the train station. Contact the Chamber of Commerce at durangobusiness.org for more information. Celebrate the start of Safari So Good at the Chamber's annual Snowdown Business after hours on Wednesday, January 29th at the Doubletree Hotel. The safari begins at 5 p.m. Dress in costumes for your chance to win Snowdown prizes. Visit snowdown.org for more information. Want to know more about QuickBooks? The Small Business Development Center will offer an introductory workshop from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. on Thursday, January the 30th at the First National Bank of Durango. Cost is $65 for Chamber members, $70 for all others. Register on the Small Business Development Center website at sbdcfortlewis.edu. So that's it for our first edition of Open for Business. We'll return with a new program on Thursday, January the 30th, when we report on the winners of the Durango Rocks Awards event. We'll also let you in on the newest members of Southwest Colorado Accelerator Program for Entrepreneurs, or SCAPE. The program started this week with 4 exciting new companies and who will spend the next 4 months developing their businesses. I'm Jim Mackay. Thanks for watching Inside Durango TV. And remember, just watch us. You'll like what you see.
Thank you for watching Open for Business. Tune in every week with Jim Mackay for information about commerce and industry in the Four Corners. Open for Business has been brought to you by First Southwest Bank. We can help you get there. First Southwest Bank.
Inside Durango TV is locally produced by Fast Forward Media.
It's time for rejuvenation with luxurious healing waters, breathtaking views, and lavish spa treatments at the Springs Resort and Spa in Pagosa Springs. Stay at the new EcoLux Hotel and enjoy 24-hour access to our 23 unique pools by the river. Indoors, relax in the hotel and enjoy therapeutic services at the spa. It's time for rejuvenation at the Springs Resort and Spa in Pagosa Springs.